All right, we're in it. We're recording our 50th total episode of the Bonfire Briefing Podcast, number 20 something of Below the Surface. I don't know what number we're at, like 24 maybe, something. I don't know. 2 weeks until the year anniversary of the podcast. That'll be very fun. Don't know what we're going to do for that one. I think I mentioned on a previous podcast, I thought it'd be pretty cool to get some champagne and just talk about the podcast, how it's grown, fucking the guests that I've had, who I want to have on, that kind of thing. I don't really know. I've reached out to a lot of UFC fighters recently that have, won fights this year. So hopefully some of them get back to me. One of those episodes might be the year anniversary one, but who knows? I'll worry about that in 2 weeks. But, we're recording this here a little before 3 p.m. Central Time on Monday. And that's because we woke up seeing that there was going to be some news this afternoon regarding some arrests in New York. And they've already done the press conference and everything, and it was pretty interesting. I listened to the press conference and they detailed a lot of interesting stuff there. But I started to dig into some of these things just a little bit further. And there's just so much more going on in connection with these arrests that they didn't really, get into at the press conference. There was a, we'll get into all of it, but like there's over 100 of these police stations all across the world. It's a part of a massive Chinese operation that's been going on for almost a decade. So, this is not just an isolated event. This is something that leads to something, much, much bigger. But, we can get into some of the basics first. They got on about noon today, and 2 Americans have been arrested, and 34 Chinese officials have been charged in relation to this Chinese police station that was operating in Manhattan. And I was reading an article about it on the New York Times, and that's where I saw that there are over 100 of these stations all over the world. We know that there are some in Canada, Ireland, and the Netherlands, and there's probably some in many more countries than that. There might even be more here within the States. This is just one of what might be many all around the country, and then many more of those all around the world.
I mean, why would there be just one? It's like the spy balloons. It's like another thing we'll end up getting into is the Pentagon leaks, which also, I don't think we talked about this before the show, but there was, what they say, there was 4 spy balloons that have already flown over the U.S. that just, the general public doesn't know about. But that got released with the Pentagon things. But just to tie that into what you just said, like, why would there be just one secret police station that the Chinese had? They have them all over the world. There's definitely more in the United States, 100%.
Oh, definitely. There has to be. There definitely are. This is really the tip of the iceberg, I think, and what we're about to uncover. And none of this, and we'll get into this a little later too, but like none of this is really new information. The FBI director was talking about it back in November or October, and there have been reports on it that are months old. It's like most people are hearing about this for the first time today, but the origins of this stuff in the United States stretch back months. And like I said, this is an operation that's been going on for over a decade. It is just a really, really big thing. There was an investigation done in the Netherlands over a police station similar to this, and the Chinese government's response was that, it's not anything to worry about, that these police stations are just helping Chinese nationals living in other countries with document work. And in the press conference today, they talked about they do some of that. They do some of that document work, like they in New York were apparently helping some of the Chinese people living there, like renew their Chinese driver's licenses, and they are doing that stuff, but they're doing so much more. It's a part of a much bigger operation to, well, one, to spread Chinese propaganda, which is something that they do all the time through a whole lot of different various means. But they're also really doing this to locate and harass anti-Chinese activists and dissidents. And that's kind of the goal of the overall program. And that was definitely the goal of the station in New York. I mean, they detailed some of that. You know, they mentioned one case specifically of a guy that they were surveilling and harassing and trying to convince him to go back to China, where he, certainly would have faced charges and been harassed further and everything like that. And, he had been living here in New York to try to get away from all that. But China wants all of these people to return to the mainland so that they can punish them. They talked about a little bit of that kind of stuff in the press conference. They didn't give as many details as maybe a lot of people would have liked. But, I started doing a little digging and found some articles from last year that kind of detailed more of what China's overall plan is. It's a part of a big operation called Operation Fox Hunt. That's what they call it. That's the thing. It was started in 2014. This is not something that's recent or new. It is an operation that they have been engaging in for almost a decade. I even learned while looking it up that Barack Obama had talked about Operation Fox Hunt like back in 2015, like right after the program has started. It's just that, now because of these charges in New York, more people are becoming aware of it. And the program, I don't know, what China's expectations were for this program, but it did start off, accomplishing what they wanted. There was a 6-month stretch in 2015 alone where they were able to get like 680 Chinese nationals that were living abroad to return to China. And as a result of this program, they've gotten 40 of China's top 100 most wanted globally to return to the country. And that's really what they want. The press conference today mentioned spreading propaganda and everything like that, and they definitely do that. But the surveillance and the harassment of these Chinese fugitives and trying to force them to return home to the mainland to face charges, that's really what China wants with this program. And like I said earlier, the FBI director, Christopher Wray, he was talking about this months ago to Congress. There was a human rights NGO in Spain called Safeguard Defenders that published a report on this program, or specifically the police stations, in September of last year, and even specifically mentioned the existence of one in New York where they did the arrest today. So, we've known that this was going on for quite some time. Now, I mean, how long have we known about the one in New York? I don't know. But, the arrest today, it was definitely more of a thing of them trying to, gather evidence, so that they had an open and shut case. They had to have known about it for months and months, if not longer. I feel like they finally just got enough evidence, enough proof that they needed to feel like they really had a solid case. Let me see. I'm trying to think. This is not even the first time that people have been arrested in relation to the operation. I found out that there were 7 Chinese nationals back in October of last year that were charged for, like they were doing here, surveilling and harassing a Chinese man to try to get him to go back to China. And, the situation today and the situation back in October, those are not the first arrests or charges that have been made in relation to this operation. These are just the most recent ones. I think I read something, I don't have it in front of me, so I might be a little off, but I think back in 2020, they arrested a New York City police officer for doing some similar activity within the Tibetan community there in New York. And that was in 2020. And then you can go back even further, all the way back to 2014 and 2015 to find, different things that have happened in the U.S. That are a result of this operation, and also other countries. Like I said, the Chinese government had to acknowledge that these police stations were real after there was an investigation in the Netherlands that opened up. And that's when China kind of just shrugged their shoulders and said, it's not a big deal. They're just there to help people with documents and things like that, which, like we've said, is obviously not all they're doing. And Canada and Ireland, I know, are two other countries that have called for China to shut down those operations in their countries. And like I said, there are over 100 of these, they suspect, across the entire world. So, the arrests today are definitely, it's definitely big news, and it's a good thing that we got that place shut down. But I have a feeling we might see similar investigations and similar arrests happening, maybe all across America and all across the world, which is just crazy to think about.
Do you think this is, just to give probably a differing opinion from the, U.S. nationalist fucking kind of view, not that that's what you have, but just another idea, just another thought. Do you think all this is like happening now to kind of like prepare U.S. citizens on how to think about shit like Taiwan in the future and all those things that are like inevitably coming to a head in our lifetime?
Maybe. I don't really know. There might be some connection. And China has obviously been interested in Taiwan for a long time. The friction that exists there between Taiwan and China, it's been around for decades and decades. We can go back a long time. I don't know. The Chinese government obviously thinks it's in their best interest to try to round up all these dissidents that they have all over the country, because a lot of these guys have turned into activists since they've left the country. A lot of these dissidents are not exactly just, like staying quiet and living a normal life. A lot of them are like anti-China activists, and they're vocal, and, they're engaged in their local communities. And, I think that's something that China definitely wants to put a stop to. And they're also countering that message by trying to spread their own propaganda through through this Operation Fox Hunt. And it actually has like a sister operation that does a very similar thing. I can't remember what it's called. Operation Skynet's what it's called, which I don't know if you've seen the Terminator movies, but anything named Skynet is bad news. Like, it doesn't lead to anything good. No, I think it's crazy. I think it might just be something that they're doing, like, while they're also focusing on Taiwan. Speaking of, this is not related to like, the stuff that happened today, but I think I read something earlier that China is planning a big military exercise tomorrow. So that'll be something to look out for. No, it was just a crazy rabbit hole to dive into. I hadn't really, I feel like you always assume China is doing stuff similar to this, but to know that they've propped up these pseudo police departments in cities all over the world and are like threatening dissidents with violence and trying to like force them to return home. And they even have this thing, they call it an exit ban, where like if one of your family members decides to dip out and leave the country, and they haven't been super friendly to the regime over there, they ban like your whole family from going anywhere. And a lot of these people are, they're harassed in a whole lot of different ways. Their families are threatened with violence. they're threatened with violence. Their friends and family over here in the States and abroad are threatened with violence if they don't go back home. It's really crazy. I mean, China they are actively targeting these people and just trying to force them to go back to the mainland, so that they can punish them for going against the state.
I've been trying to figure out what happens to you when you when you go back to China, and the number one thing the Business Insider article from 2018 lists is you just disappear, so it can't be good. And then everything else you said, like any other way they can do to suppress you, they take you away from the media, they just threaten your family, like you said, just take down all your posts, any just really anything like that. That's so interesting. Do you think, what other countries do stuff like that? Do we do that? I don't think. I mean, you can't say certain things that on the internet before somebody shows up at your door with their black Suburbans and everything else. But like, for the most part, we're a free speech country. I've heard of this kind of thing happening in like, you always read some article. It's like just like how people in other countries, other violent like world leaders, it just can call for like killing of like. Who was the big country the past couple of years that's always been happening? I don't know. Anywhere there's civil unrest, like just how the rules of the United States for social media are very different than other places. It's like, other people just suppress their people in just very different ways. I don't know. It's just interesting, like.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't live in fear of, being harassed by the government if I say something negative about the current administration, I tend to do.
I was going to say, like, this podcast would not fly in a lot of other, places. You bring on some guests who particularly don't like, Uncle Sam's actions all the time,
Yeah. Or the vaccine. God forbid you talk about the vaccine.
Jesus, God.
This podcast doesn't fly on YouTube sometimes,
This is such a
Joshua Rodriguez.
This is such like a low, like, it's crazy that I don't know. I guess no, that shit does exist in the United States, but it's usually like backed up with like more reasoning. Like, what is it they told you? Like, you can't go against the WHO guidelines. Like, at least there is some guidelines, even if that's controlled by whoever the fuck. I guess the vaccine thing's a little bit different, but I mean, some people would say it's not very different. I don't know. It's still freedom of speech, but like, if you shit on America and you're an American in another country, like, you're probably not going to get, I don't know, we've started some coups, Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the difference is like, like your shit might get taken down by a private company, by a social media company or a video sharing platform like YouTube. Like, they might take your shit down, but it's not like the government told them to take it down. It's that they have their own rules and guidelines of what flies on their website. And,
I think that's what makes those Twitter files so interesting, is like there was some coordination between the government and the social media companies. But like, I mean, exposing that was a big deal. I guess I wonder if people in China, are having this happen to them all the time. I wonder if other people in other like supposedly free speech countries, like, look at what's happened in the United States with like the Twitter files thing and like conservative voices being suppressed on the internet. Like, if they look at that like we're looking at the China thing. I mean, no, obviously this is a little bit different. This is like, but I mean, it is kind of the same thing. Like, that's what I didn't get out of the press conference, and I haven't read it on the DOJ website. It's like, what other operations were these people acting like normal police, or were they just kind of like the police on freedom of speech of Chinese dissidents? Like, they weren't. I don't think they were doing. Well, this investigation is still happening. Like, I'm sure there were some people who were rounded up physically, but I mean, that's a little trickier in the United States. You have other rights that you don't want to. If you're, I mean, I was just imagine if I was a leader of a country, or if I was a country that had, police forces undercover in other countries, I wouldn't just want to be noticed for anything, I mean, this shit flies under the radar. I guess this is why it took years. Like, everyone's known about this fucking ramen shop that had the fucking spy thing in the top of it. Like everything today, like this is old. It's not old news, but it takes a while to come up with that evidence because you can't just. I guess the big thing is you see like Russia or China. It's like you'll see so and so is charged with like speaking against the state. Like we don't have those rules. Free countries don't have those rules.
Yeah. I would be curious to know more details of like, well, just kind of like specifically what they were doing, out of that shop. Like what, like what did their day to day look like? Like was it mostly, people sitting at computers, like doing surveillance and like sending anonymous threats and harassing people, or were they like, were they going to people's doors and threatening them physically and like rounding them up and taking them to that building and questioning them and, just to what extent were they doing things? How discreet were they being about it? Because it did take some time for them to build up this case and collect evidence and everything like that. And we know the people involved were destroying evidence. They obviously knew what they were doing was wrong and illegal. But I'm just curious to know exactly how they were doing it. Like, were they were they kidnapping and threatening people and beating them up, or was it more, stuff done in the cyberspace, like monitoring their communications and, stalking them and seeing where they're going and everything like that? I don't know. I don't know exactly what all they were doing. I'd be curious to know more about the operations of a place like that on a day to day. Like, what exactly were they doing? How far did the threats and the violence go? How does a place like that operate? And, for law enforcement, how can they look out for that kind of behavior to try to prevent something like this from happening in other cities, which it does. It definitely is, So how do we act a little bit quicker and shut that shit down so that it doesn't have an opportunity to go on for months and months? Because like the longer something like that goes along, the more people that might be coerced into returning to China and, getting arrested or facing God knows what over there.
You haven't deleted TikTok off your phone yet? Fucking go ahead and do that shit,
Yeah. Yeah, just go ahead and stick it to them real good. Just go ahead and get rid of that stuff. I think for all of our Montana listeners, I think TikTok is already done with them. I'm pretty sure Montana got rid of that.
Good fucking move. Whatever governor that is, reelect them. They had something right.
Yeah.
But also that being said, delete your Instagram and all your other shit too, because it's just fucking Uncle Sam looking at you too. So go ahead and get off the internet, as much as you can.
Don't delete Twitter though, because that's where I am. That's where that's where the podcast is.
Yeah,
keep Twitter's Spotify or whatever.
It is interesting that like Twitter is like not to get completely fucking sidetracked on something else, but like, is Elon Musk one of the greatest humans to ever exist for America on Twitter and is exposing shit on Twitter? And then also, see, so there's a way to look at this. He, not that I'm just a fucking Elon Musk guy that keeps up with everything he fucking says, but he put out he said something to whoever his millions of followers are about like needing to stop the growth of like AI type shit. Like we need to slow down. And then like 2 weeks later, he fucking comes out with like his own AI, some company shit. I don't know exactly what it was. His Chat GPT equivalent or whatever. And it's just like, oh, well, he's just doing this for gain. It's like, I think that's kind of what makes America great is when which is also another fucking discussion, the corporations kind of run things. It's like corporatism or whatever it's called is like not necessarily the worst form of government as long as it's in the interest of the people, like good corporations that exist, that care about their consumers. Like, it's what makes a free market so great and all that. But is somebody like, the world needs more people with a lot of money to start standing up to their, more standing up to like for your freedom of speech and shit like that. I think it's what I fucking, what's the most fucking interesting thing that I think Elon Musk contributes to the world besides, fucking space travel type shit, which is also good. Not to get completely fucking sidetracked for what we were already discussing.
No, I actually think it's a decent segue because, the other big topic of discussion here is the Pentagon leaks that have happened. And, after they came out, it started this whole, this is not really where I wanted to go with the leaks thing, but it did start a big discussion on the morality of leaking that material and, whether websites should host it or, whether they should post the leaked documents and everything like that. It started a big discussion on that, like it always does when something like this happens. And Elon Musk came out and said that he will not be removing posts that contain the leaked material. And, a lot of other websites didn't publish it. And in fact, so, we were talking about this before we hopped on, but some of the leaked documents that are apparently out there are pretty hard to find. I know I really the only thing that I've looked at today that actually shows the leaked documents, the actual pictures of the things that were leaked, was Newsweek. So, they're already out there and they're public. It's not like I'm saying anything crazy, but if you want to go take you a look at those classified documents, some of them are on Newsweek. And there are different tweets that I've seen that contain some of those same leaks. And I mean, there have been an ungodly amount of articles written about them, but that don't actually show them, which is, kind of frustrating, as a guy who has a podcast that wanted to talk about the leaks. I mean, it's pretty helpful to see the documents that have been leaked rather than, just some journalist or some, talking heads commentary on what's in the documents. It's like, I want to see the documents.
We have some, I do also agree. I need to see the actual fucking documents. Wikipedia did a decent job of compiling, as Wikipedia always does. Wikipedia is the shit. Fucking compiling just some brief explanations on what everything was. I haven't looked in, how you can click the sources on there. I didn't click around on everything to see where they're getting all that shit from. But let me see. New York Times, it looks like, but everybody has a little bit, but nothing. I need to see it. I need to see fucking what exactly it was that those fuckers on Discord were sharing.
Yeah. Well, when the story first broke, there was a big emphasis on the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and that's what a lot of the documents that we have now talk about. In fact, those are the only documents that are on the Newsweek article that actually has the pictures and everything. But then I started seeing other people talk about there was a document leaked that detailed Mossad and Israel authorizing their employees, people that work with them, to participate in some of the judicial reform protests that were going on in Israel at the time. And I was like, well, I haven't seen that document anywhere. And I still haven't seen it. I've not been able to find the actual document itself. And there's a lot of other things like the leaks that have happened. They cover stuff like China and Taiwan and Egypt and Israel, like I said, Iran. There's, the Russia-Ukraine war is the primary focus of all the documents, but that's not the only thing that was leaked. There were a lot of other things leaked. There was some documents leaked about U.S. spying on their on some of their allies. I mean, there's a whole lot that goes into this, and we're definitely not going to be able to cover it all today. Like we said, we haven't seen all of the documents, and to do a proper, thorough review of everything, it would take way more research than we've been able to do on the subject. Also, before we get into too much, it is pretty funny that they were leaked on Discord.
It is pretty funny.
Like it's just kind of funny. Like, of all the places for classified intelligence to be leaked, Discord is just kind of a funny place. It just is. And it was a place where they were like, posting pictures of guns and just, they had funny usernames and everything like that. But they also happened to be sharing classified U.S. intelligence materials, which is just kind of funny. There was I don't remember exactly when this happened, but there were classified documents that were leaked a while back on on War Thunder forums, the video game.
Yeah.
I don't remember when those leaks happened, but yeah, like somebody leaked classified freaking material on a damn War Thunder forum. And Discord is a platform that's primarily used by people who play video games and things like that. I don't know where these gamers are getting this classified information, but they are getting it. And they're posting it, in video game spaces, which is just kind of funny.
It's a very hard thing to lock down. Like, I mean, I guess you can. Well, I guess everything's fucking traceable when you're doing it on the fucking internet. But like, it is pretty brilliant. Like, you don't have to. It's not about like not getting caught. It's about making it difficult to find whoever was that posted it and shit. You can make a pretty long trail, and like, it's fucking. I wonder. There's no telling just how much shit is out there. That, not to get off the subject at all, but I guess part of this is just like the issues with, like Intel security. Wasn't there all of our nukes were, or not all of them, but a lot of them, somebody made like those flashcards on fucking like Quizlet or some shit that just like, they were like, where are the so-and-so nukes located? And they're like, oh, they're in fucking wherever Montana, at this location, yada, yada, yada. It's like, how stupid do you have to be to just post that shit where it's just like a Google away?
Oh, on Quizlet.
Quizlet. Dude, it's everywhere. That's so fucking fun. It's just, everything's like an Easter egg hunt,
Dude, I used Quizlet, plenty in college and whatnot, just to help study. I never came across any classified material on there, but, kind of wish I did. It feels like I kind of missed out using Quizlet,
Yeah, really cool. I need to go check that shit out. There's no telling how many people, because military, you gotta fucking take all your tests and shit like that. You gotta, it's just like fucking being in school. So you gotta study. There's no telling just how many people are just shitting themselves like, oh fuck, I made a Quizlet in fucking 2008 that talked about yada yada yada. Like, damn, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's also crazy how many people have access to, maybe not, I don't know that material specifically, but like classified material. I read something earlier that like 1.3 million people in America have access to classified material. That's a lot of people. How do I get that clearance? Dude, I know people that have that clearance, but how do I get it?
I say I also know someone who has that, like, there's like levels to it or whatever. Apparently, like, that level 1 is like very fucking easy to get. Like, and that level 1 has a lot of shit in it, apparently. From my understanding, from someone who, has fucking earned that level 1 shit.
Yeah. My sources say.
There you go. My shit in there.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems that, like, that's a lot of people that have access to that stuff. Over 1 million people have access to that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy that this stuff doesn't happen more often. Maybe it does, and we just don't know about it yet. There's got to be material like that being shared illegally, probably more frequently than we would like to imagine. This guy just so happened to get caught because, he shared it in the Discord. There were like 30, 40 something people in there. And then it got spread on like fucking 4chan and places like that.
Just the real fucking, just the asshole of the internet. And like, I love it that these are, I like to fucking, I'm always trying to find some good shit online, you know. I feel like the goal in life is to not goal in life, but a constant goal is to like try to be a fucking just an observer in one of those rooms and shit like that. I like to know shit that people don't know. So, you know, you're always trying to fucking go below the surface a little bit when you're looking for information. Like, how stupid you have to be to think that you should ever fucking post that shit. Like, you should ever do something like that. I had a point with that and I fucking completely slipped my mind. You know how it goes.
No. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's crazy you would ever post something like that in a Discord where there's multiple other people, you know, because like somebody's going to share it. Like they're going to 30, 40 people in a Discord server. And you don't think somebody's going to take that classified material and just spread it all over? You're crazy. And they're going to confine you.
Like, who gets their hands on that shit? How did this? What's he? Some fucking Air National Guard guy from Virginia or North Carolina or some shit?
Massachusetts. 21-year-old airman from Massachusetts. Just
fucking dumb, you know? I mean, like, it's cool to have access, you know? Definitely take you a peek if you're fucking, you know, if you're a guy who has to push the fucking, you know, shred the fucking paper at the end of the day to make sure everything get like, fucking grab you a picture, take you a little bit home with you. But like, I mean, don't do that. Like, you know, but like, if you see something cool, you know, like, I mean, but don't share it, you know, keep it for your own, just like it's a privilege to have access to that information. Like, don't fucking abuse that privilege. I mean, and if you're like a level 1 guy who gets access to level 3 information because like you just happen to have that job, you're the guy that takes out the trash. Like, fucking, you're an idiot. You're an idiot if you fucking share that. Like, thinking that, like, there's a reason that they fucking make you, they look at you so much because you're not, because they you know, they like do a thorough background check. I've looked into it, just like to get any fucking intelligent shit. Like, they like talk to your fucking everybody you've ever lived with, you know, everybody, if you've ever fucking, all that shit. Like,
yeah, they talk to like everybody. They want to know like everything about you, you know, and I mean, you know, it's for good reason. I mean, they're going to be giving you access to all this classified material. I mean, they would kind of like to know what kind of person they're going to have look at it. And, you know, I know this is an argument that's made in bad faith a lot of time, but, you know, whenever something like this happens, there are people that come out and they're like, you know, publishing classified material can lead to, you know, like deaths in places where combat is happening. You know, we heard that over and over with stuff in the Middle East, and you know, we did hear it some now with these leaks. You know, hear about shit in Ukraine, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much that's true about these leaks, because, you know, like Ukraine and the Biden administration both have kind of downplayed the severity of these leaks. They don't really seem to be freaking out about it all that much, but like, you know, it is a real possibility that sharing classified material about a place where active combat is happening, that, like, you know, people could get killed. You know, I mean, it's not really something to take lightly. You know, that could be a very real consequence of sharing material that's not meant to be seen by everybody. Like I said, don't know that that's true about these leaks here. Fucking hope not, because they're pretty. They're out there. They've been out there. You know, they're not exactly secret anymore. So
how do you not know to not do that shit? Like, and also, like, it's not like fucking, who is it? What does Snowden talk about? Was it Assange who was like government spying on you? Snowden was like, here's, you know, war crimes, or was it the other way around?
No, it's the other way around.
Okay. So, like, fucking, you know what happened to those guys? You know, like, they aren't even, fucking Assange is over. Did he ever get brought back to the U.S. or no? No, not yet.
Fuck. I talked with Keenan Dunham, Libertarian presidential candidate, about it. I can't remember exactly where he's at in that process. I think maybe his extradition to the U.S. has been approved, but it hasn't happened yet. I don't know. I don't know. I seem to remember when I was talking to Keenan that his extradition did seem like it was incredibly likely, and that he is going to face like very serious federal charge. No, that's what it is. His extradition was approved, but he filed an appeal, and so they got to go through that whole process. But if his appeal is rejected, he will be sent back to the States, and he's going to face very serious federal crimes.
It looks like, let me see, on July 2nd, 2022, on 1st of July, 2022, yeah, that's when he appealed it.
Yeah. So I think he's still in the appeal process, I think. And, I think that appeal is kind of the last thing between him coming to the United States to face charges. Yeah, no, I don't know. I do think the Snowden and Assange cases are a little different. But I personally would not support either of them being charged in the States. I think they should, I think they should be freed. I think they should be let go. I think
Where is Snowden right now?
I think he's still chilling in Russia.
That's right.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah,
I think he's good.
If I was Julian Assange, I would fucking head my ass to Russia like today.
Yeah, Russia's not going to extradite you here. They'll they'll keep you over there. They don't care. They're all good and fine with it. Oddly enough, both guys facing, I think more serious charges, but I think they've both been charged under the Espionage Act, just like this guy out of Massachusetts was. And he's that guy in Massachusetts, he's fucked. He's fucked. Like, they've got him in custody here. He's facing multiple charges. He is boned. He's going to go away for a long time.
The shit he did is like a different kind of bad. Like, there was nothing fucking noble about it. There wasn't like, you could say there was something fucking like, some of the shit he leaked, you're like, okay, well, we should know this information. Should the public know any of this information? Does it really fucking matter to their day-to-day lives? People, there's different fucking ways to discuss that. I think without fucking thinking a whole bunch about it, I say no, fucking, we should all probably know a lot more shit than we know. But, like, I also don't, I want transparency in government. Who doesn't? But, like, he wasn't doing it for anything other than just fucking internet clout with a bunch of fucking other idiots. Like high school kids, like 14-year-olds. Like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, are you... Yeah. How
he went about it in the most dumb way possible. Like, Snowden and Assange took quite a few fucking efforts to get their stuff out there and try to remain safe and, try to remain getting caught by the, to try to, refrain from getting caught by the United States. But this guy just shared it in the damn Discord server, which is mind blowing, really. Yeah. And I read somewhere that there were like over 100 pages of documents that were leaked in total over the course of a couple of days. I don't know that he's the source of all those documents. He very well could be. He might be. It would seem kind of odd. That's a lot of pages. That's 100 pages of stuff. Over 100 pages of stuff. That's a lot. I don't know if he was the source of all of them. Maybe he was. But
like, if he's the source of all of those, like, then yeah, maybe there is something more to it. Like, maybe, like, how much shit you had to post to your fucking loser friends to have them believe that you're actually a fucking Fed, or you have access to shit, why are you, like, how much more, like, so I don't know. I'd like to see where all that came from. That's kind of crazy. Or unless he, like, okay, he took pictures of it. See, I've only seen physical. I saw that he took physical pictures. I think it's part of the way they caught him was, like, the corner of his countertop and the Gorilla Glue and all this other shit. So it's not like he was sharing files and shit, but he was an Intel guy. Or no, you're not an Intel guy. He was a fucking IT guy. So, like, If he shared hundreds of shits, that means he was like actively trying to fucking. God, I talk like a fucking idiot. Hundreds of shits. If he shared hundreds of things.
Hundreds of shits.
God. But yeah,
that's what you get on the show, you know.
It's how real people talk, you know.
That's two like country bumpkins fucking trying to do a podcast. Probably half of people can't even understand what we're saying.
God damn it, you're right. You and fucking what's his name, Trevor
Peake, boy, yeah, no,
shit.
See, that's the thing too. Is like when you get around somebody else who also has a country accent, it's like your country accent picks it up a couple notches, you know. So
it's your people, you know.
Yeah. Fucking. So like that conversation just sounded like, you know, two redneck dudes just talking with a mouthful of gravel, you know. I'm sure. There are probably people who couldn't understand half of it, but you know what? That's okay. If you can't understand how we're talking, that episode just ain't meant for you. You know, try a different one.
Fuck. God damn.
Not changing nothing. Not hiding no accents over here.
Shit, dude. If I already know what I was fucking saying. No, I mean, like, if all that shit's coming from him, yeah, no. I've been told in the past, just a little more thing on the fucking voice thing, just so the fucking people can hear, is fucking, I talk like I'm speaking in fucking, my sentences are like riddles, you know, just saying a bunch of stupid shit just to get fucking, you could have said it in 5 words, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely just drawn out, using a lot of phrases and, you know, sayings and other stuff that might not translate, you know, further up north or west or whatever. You know, what can you do?
What can you do? You know?
Not going to change the way that I talk. Yeah, I know we've talked about the origin of these documents a lot. We haven't really gotten into the meat of it. Like I said, there's... you know, like I said, they got pictures of them in Newsweek. There are a couple articles. There was one for the New York Times, and of course, Wikipedia does a good job of summarizing them. Just one last thing on their origin. I read somewhere that some of those documents might have been shared as early as like October of last year. Now that's obviously not true of all of them, because some of the documents you can see in those pictures, they're dated like February of this year. So there were definitely, you know, files that were shared, you know, like later, like March 1st to the 4th, I think is where they think most of them were shared. But I read somewhere that some of those might have been shared like months ago. Maybe in smaller circles where there was, you know, less of a chance of them getting out or whatever. But some of this stuff might have been, you know, floating around out there for months before anyone caught a hold of it.
It's crazy because, like, when they finally decided to go get him, they got him, like, pretty quick. It was like, I don't know if I just said, it was like, yeah, the Gorilla Glue, all that shit. I also saw, like, there was a specific, like, he had, like, a fucking, you know, one of them fucking... whatever countertops, I don't know. It's the fucking shit you get from Lowe's. But no, it was like a certain pattern in like the fake fucking marble shit. And they were like, here's that in that picture and here's that in this house. It's like, damn, that's fucking, that's like, yeah, no, that was impressive.
I think you can also see, it was like a hunting magazine.
Yeah,
hunting magazine. One of the pictures, and they're like, you know, we know what kind of guy we're after.
Shit.
You know, there's just different things in the background of those pictures that they use to figure out where it was, which is crazy, you know. Crop your pictures. Yeah. cut out some of the background, man, if you don't want to get caught. That's picture taking 101, you know. No, but there is a lot of interesting stuff in those documents. I mean, we don't have time to go through fucking half of it, but you know, we can point out some of the interesting things. I think we learned about the incident where like a Russian jet fired at a British one or something like that. We learned about that a while back. You know, it's been written about over and over. Like the missile fucked up, misfired. There was a goddamn whatever. I don't know. Something caused it to fuck up. But we learned about that a while back. I feel like that's been written about quite a bit. The casualty numbers were something that I think caught some people by surprise because, Ukraine and Russia both have been deflating their numbers. They don't want people to figure out what the real numbers are.
Obviously not, fucking. Yeah, no, it'd be. Let me. I'm looking at those numbers right now. They said, oh yeah, no, I don't know. It's just fucking some hundreds of thousands, or no, fucking some tens of thousands.
Yeah, that's the thing. So like, there have been, for Russia, maybe as many as 223,000 casualties. Now, of course, that includes, like people wounded and the dead. They're thinking maybe as many as 17,500 killed in action on the Ukrainian side. And wait, I think I might have those numbers all fucked up on my sheet here. I'm not looking at the Wikipedia page. I'm looking at a document I copied and pasted them to. I think I fucked up my numbers there.
I think, no, it's, let me see. No, that's right. No, let me see. I'm looking, because they say casualties, but then they say killed in action. So I'm assuming casualty means, you could just be hurt. Fucking killed in action. That's crazy that the numbers are that much different. Like you would expect, 124 to 131 casualties when their other numbers are like 1,550 to 1,750 deaths. So it's like, fucking, I don't know. Technology's come a long way, I guess. I was reading something about that the other day. I guess war is not as, not as many people die because the medical technology is there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what caught my attention. It's like the casualty number is, very high, but, the actual number dead, I think, is probably a lot less than a lot of people would have guessed. Like if you, they did this with like COVID numbers, right? Like they would poll people, like how many, I forget what the specific poll was, but no, what it was is that, they asked Democrats and Republicans, they were like, what percentage of people that get COVID do you think end up having to go to the hospital? And people overblew it by a lot. I think Democrats, their number was as high as like 50 to 60%. And when in reality, the number was much, much lower. And I think you would get that if you polled people on casualties as a result of the invasion. I think maybe a lot of people would guess that way more people have died than they actually have. And of course, it benefits Ukraine and Russia both to kind of deflate those numbers so people don't get real freaked out and discouraged and everything like that. Which is interesting because one of the other documents they had there was talking about how, Ukrainian forces, and I think Bakhmut, not 100% sure on the pronunciation there, but that's what we're rolling with.
One of those two, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they were nearly encircled by Russian forces, and they didn't really know what they were going to do. Morale was just super, super low. I think one of their intelligence guys was like, this situation is fucked up. Like it's not going to go well. Everything like that, and that's a reason that both countries have deflated their numbers. They don't want troops to get discouraged out there. They don't want troops to think that they're just going out there to die. It definitely put a hurting on the morale. Let me see. There were some other good things in there too. One of them that I kind of picked out that I thought was interesting was I saw some people talking about this today. Is that Ukraine's air defense missile systems will be depleted next month. Like just gone.
That seems like one of the parts that might have been thrown in there, one of the fake ones, let's send them a little more fucking money and shit. No, I'm just kidding. We might actually, I don't know. It's fucking, I guess time will tell. We do seem to be sending them shit all the time. And who knows, also these are very specific documents leaked. So this might be why we're constantly announcing aid. Like, we might get one of these documents, the president fucking looks at it, like, okay, fucking Congress looks at it, okay, give them fucking aid. Or they hear about it. They hear about that piece of information, the document. And so,
yeah,
I guess that's why, because, a lot of it was shrugged off by both the U.S. and Ukraine, like, that kind of shit. They're just like, no, fucking, not really, not worried about it. That's old news. We might have already sent the weapons package, that has happened since then. We're sending shit every fucking week, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing. It's one of those pieces that like I didn't see the specific document for, so couldn't really tell like where the document is from. Like it could be an older one. Maybe we have already sent them some new stuff. I'm sure we've got some new stuff going their way pretty soon. You know, being out of your air defense missile systems, though,
Not a fun
great.
thing. I wonder how much, like, I mean, we're not there. We have no idea. Like, you can only watch so much fucking shit on the internet. Like, how much goes how far? How serious is it? Like, what are you defending from in the air? You know, is it a lot of drones and shit? Is it a lot of fucking? I mean, I guess I'm sure somebody knows this and somebody could fucking answer that. We need to get a good like fucking military, one of those intel guys that fucking is retired and comes on there and explains everything. You know?
Yeah, that would be dope. I would I'd love to have one of those dudes literally just go through the stuff line by line, just be like, this is what this means. You know, like this is what could happen as a result of that. Somebody who's a real expert, because I'm not an expert on any of this. I'm just looking at stuff, you know, picking out stuff that I find interesting, trying to learn a little more about it. Speaking of drones and things like that, I think part of that same document set, there was a line in there about Zelensky wanting to use UAVs to strike within Russian territory, the Rostov blast. That's something. And then there was another piece on Wikipedia, like right after that, it mentioned that China is thinking of, you know, like stepping up their aid to Russia if Ukraine strikes within their territory.
Interesting. I bet that's, I mean, I guess everything China does is like going to be a reflection on how they feel about Taiwan and U.S. influence and shit like that. So, I mean, it makes sense that they would give a little more aid because they would probably, you know, if fucking Taiwan struck inside of China, they would, you know, support fucking combating that pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like even if China, you know, was invading Taiwan. So like, I guess, you know, anyways, continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, it would just be, you know, it'll be interesting to see like how invested China gets in that war going forward, considering, you know, what seems to be an impending invasion of Taiwan at some point. Don't know when exactly. Like we said earlier, they are doing a big military test tomorrow, I believe. So get to see what that's about. That's not great. None of these documents really give you any like. They're not positive. None of this makes you feel any good about anything that's going on. You know?
No, this is all negative news.
If you came here for good news, boy, we ain't got it. It's not what we do on this show. It's all just real sad shit.
Damn, this is fucking. I had really thought about how it is all just shitty news till right now. Yeah, no, it all sucks.
We crack jokes. We talk about sports, and we talk about depressing ass news. That's the Bonfire Briefing Podcast right there.
Damn.
Yeah, there was also some shit in, you know, speaking of China and Taiwan, there was some stuff in there about, you know, about that impending invasion. You know, there was something about a set of missiles that China uses, and they have a high probability of getting through some of the missile defense systems that we have in Taiwan. Also, something about being able to like hack our fucking satellites. Or like they're working on capabilities to like really get in there and mess up our satellites. I'm trying to think of some other China-Taiwan stuff it had in there. But again, not super hopeful for Taiwan considering what they have coming. You know? Oh, yeah, there was stuff about the balloons in there, right?
Something about the balloons in there.
Yeah, like there were more balloons than we even thought before. And I think that they had pretty sophisticated what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like surveillance technology. that they were trying to get some information on some of the equipment that they have. They flew over like different military vehicles and things like that.
This is an interesting way for fucking human beings to exist together. This is all really depressing. Why are we as fucking citizens of any of these countries stuck in this? Fucking, why can't we just fucking like leave us the fuck alone? You know, everybody's leisure. I don't know. This is not good. But I mean, it's not. Whatever. I'm just flipping through this fucking Wikipedia article, or just
Yeah. No, it's not good. That's why I like talking to libertarians. You know, the whole leave people alone message. That's why a lot of people like that message too, because of all this nonsense we have going on. Should probably wrap it up pretty soon. I know you've got some stuff you've got to get to. Just a couple other things in that document real quick. You know, there are special forces from other countries fighting in Ukraine. I feel like we already really knew that. There were some specific numbers in there, though. It's not very many. It's like 50-ish total.
So they were fighting, or were they there? Like, I saw some people in Kiev or Kyiv.
I don't know that they
fuck.
were fighting. I'm not sure what they were doing exactly.
I think they were monitoring. Right. What I saw was if they were the U.S. guys, they were just fucking monitoring, like, all the shit we're sending and making sure it goes where it needs to go.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, fighting was not the right choice of words there. I saw that the Netherlands sent one guy, which I thought was very funny. Very hilarious, dude. That's so funny. Come on, man. You're going to send one guy? Imagine you're that guy. You're like, hey, buddy, we need you and you only to go to Ukraine and help these people out.
Here we go. I got your numbers. UK sent at least 50. Fucking Latvia sent 17. France 15. US 14. Netherlands, just the fucking one. The one homie.
Just the one dude, man.
That's that for sure.
Hats off to him.
Dude, he's the one that blew up the fucking that pipeline. Wasn't that them that did that? Shit, I don't know.
I don't know.
Shit, I wish that was in these documents. That would have been a good one to leak. I'm strong on the belief that fucking we did that, which would just make sense. Why would we not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm definitely on that page. There was some good U.S. intelligence spying on our allies stuff in there.
That's expected.
Yeah, kind of just what we do. I know the UN Secretary General was one of the ones we were spying on. Allegedly, he's a little softer on Russia than a lot of people would like. So, we put a set of eyes on him.
That's fine.
Ukraine's going to launch a big counteroffensive later this month, late April. I think I read some things saying that the United States is not super hopeful about how that's going to go, but I guess we'll see, considering it's mid-April right now. We won't have to wait too long to see the results of that.
Talk about it like a fucking UFC fight.
Yeah. Let me see. I don't know that I really have anything else. There was a bit in there about Russia spreading propaganda throughout Africa, but pretty sure a lot of them Wagner Group guys.
South Korea, this is the last thing I'll fucking say, because, you're right, I do have to do some shit in about fucking 6 minutes. Fucking South Korea sent weapons to Ukraine, but they weren't supposed to, because it's in their, like, constitution to not do that, to not participate in shit like that. It doesn't directly involve them. So, like, no, they were secretly doing it, and they're denying it, and everybody kind of is pissed off at the United States, like, why would you let this fucking degenerate get a hold of this very important information? Which is a very fucking fair critique, Get your shit together.
Yeah, that is something worth noting. A lot of the countries that are mentioned in these documents, there are some that we didn't get to, like Egypt and Iran and everything like that. Some of these countries have straight up denied a lot of what's reflected in these documents. So, always got to take everything with a grain of salt. Never believe anything you read 100%, And
always go below the surface,
Go below the surface. Don't leak classified information on Discord of all places.
Yeah.
Another good fucking life tip there to leave you with. But that's all. Wish we could have done a little more research and dove a little more in depth on some of these documents. But like I said, they're not the easiest thing in the world to find. And We had some other news today, you know.
Yeah, I got a feeling that we will, in one of the fucking coming up episodes, definitely fucking, go a little bit deeper into it. Probably more information will be out. This is only a small fraction of the shit that was leaked, right? Or no? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying over 100 pages of stuff. So there's got to be plenty of information out there that, I don't know, that probably even, like actual journalists and things haven't dug into all that much. But I don't know. Who knows what the news is going to look like over this next week? I mean, we might be on to something completely different. We might learn some new stuff. Who even knows? That's, that is kind of just the world we live in. There's always something going on. Yeah, but I think that's a pretty good way to close out. Don't know what next week's episode is going to look like, but the week after that's going to be the year anniversary, so that'll be a lot of fun. It'll be something to look forward to. Follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are available. Bonfire Brief Pod, so you don't miss the latest episode. And that's it for us.